Call the meeting to order of the Whately Board of Assessors on February 4th, 9:30 a.m. Okay. First item is approval of minutes from the last two meetings. We have minutes somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, this one.
I didn't get the last two.
Okay, here.
Are the numbers here referring to numbers here?
Yes, more or less, yes. It was, we'll get to that.
Well, but
Yes,
read it
yes, yeah. And that's just a memo, not an email to anybody.
Okay. Okay, we see the same things recurring. I mean, we made comments on the January 9th meeting. And also on January 21st, the same thing. Asking what's happened with some of these questions we've got documented again here. I just, how many times do we have to ask the same question? Or when is some of these questions we have going to be answered? I see this continuing from one meeting to another. What is the problem, Stephen? Why aren't some of these questions that are documented in these minutes of the meetings not being addressed? Why?
Specific questions.
Well, we can go through each one of these on the minutes if you want. Some of these are on the agenda items here we talk about today. So
You want to save that for the agenda items? I mean, for the number 3, or you want to hear it?
well, the minutes document what we discussed, and they document the questions we have from one week to the next. There's no discussion of what was resolved that I could see.
I think, Fred, your point
So-
is approving minutes that don't have more substantive answers, but have the same questions raised over and over again is concerning you.
Right,
It's concerning all of us,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, all of us here. And the other thing is, we would like to see the minutes beforehand, before the meeting.
Yeah, that's,
Most other boards have the minutes out the next day or two or whatever, or the day of the meeting.
I think you posted online, don't you, Stephen? Those, I'm sorry,
No,
the
somebody else
last,
posts-
the
somebody
last
else
minutes.
posts
Gotcha.
them online after, I don't know whether they need somebody else's approval or review before they get
Gotcha.
there.
And I think where
But,
Fred is heading is, if we could review those the night before, we could save a little time in these meetings.
right.
Does that work? Does that make sense, Jenny? Yeah, instead of having to go through this, yeah. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion on that?
I moved to table the minutes from the last one. Revisit it at the end if we feel like we're getting some answers, but it's not make it top of the agenda.
Oh, understood. I think what he said is, can we have it before the meeting?
Oh, that,
Yeah,
that.
so that we don't
piece
waste
is-
time.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So do we have a motion on that? Do we need a
One
motion?
motion at a time.
Do we need a motion?
No, we don't.
Okay, very good. You guys got to keep me running this straight.
We're directing Stephen
Okay.
to please
Very good,
give us minutes
very good.
Okay,
earlier.
okay. Moving on to the next item, the agenda, status of personal property submissions. There was one and whatever, maybe more were in question. And for the last two meetings, what's been done to resolve that issue?
We talked about that, Stephen, when we were going over the RRG list of questions we had. You said you were meeting with him and or had something to do with tax and how he filed taxes, how this person filed taxes.
Yes, personal property.
Yeah, it was last Thursday. You said you were going to meet with him or resolve. I didn't want to get into anything more than if you're going to handle it, that's great because of the nature of this.
We're still talking about the one individual whose personal property showed up as zero.
Right. And again, given the nature of that, I just, when he said he's actually meeting with, and, or I don't know, what happened, Stephen, I guess.
Meeting with him,
Alright, so can I use the name of the business?
No, not really, because
no.
we're not talking
Yeah.
individual properties. It's
Yeah.
open session.
It's open
If you
session,
want to
yeah.
go executive session after we can, but we're not
Yeah.
listing that as
Right.
as a part of today's meeting.
Okay.
so
Meaning-
should we,
Meaning we might have to go into executive sessions.
so let's move that down the agenda.
Well, we can't really talk about today because we have nothing set up for executive session
Oh,
on the agenda.
Why do you need that if it's
Well, no, I've been
private
told
anyway?
we need to
it's gotta be
have
posted.
post it as a line item or something, an agenda item going to executive session, and we need to state what in general, what we're discussing in executive session, whether it's property values, contracts with consultants,
Okay, so now,
other things,
Well, can you
So
discuss it,
update
Stephen,
them.
without getting us in trouble, I guess is the question. Can you give us an answer without?
Yes,
Yeah,
so without identifying.
Yes,
that
yes.
Personal account,
Yes,
that account did not receive a tax bill because they're a corporation, furniture taxable, neither is it. Free. The only thing that would be taxable for a corporation.
that's the information you received
and who
from
did you,
that individual.
that's where you have to be careful.
So
No,
is that individual right? How
I
do
don't
you
know.
know?
I don't know.
Whose job is it to know? I certainly don't.
You'd have to look at
if I'm not mistaken,
wherever the definition is for personal property.
and if I'm not mistaken, David Burgess at my RRG meeting with him thought it was a tax issue as to why.
Okay, so can we ask Stephen to solicit help from RRG in
Be more
clarifying
specific.
what is personal property that's supposed to be taxed and
What
what
is
is
not.
personal property that's not supposed to be taxed?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure, I think it makes, I mean, Stephen did what I asked and we've got an answer and we just need a little more clarification. So. And,
Because I can't imagine there is only one corporation that has personal property in town.
no, it's a good point. But I want to make sure I get this right. We would like more clarification on what is personal property, what is not.
Yeah.
Okay.
And whether.
And how the taxes affect that.
And what category of business somebody needs to be in to have it be exempt? Because we're being told here that if we're a corporation, it's exempt. And then what categories aren't exempt? Is that information correct? And what categories aren't exempt?
And that's personal property versus taxable personal property versus non-taxable personal property. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I get this right.
I'm not sure I know how to say it clearly. I think the question is, I think the answer Stephen was given was if it's property that belongs to a corporation, it's not personal property. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And therefore not taxable.
And therefore not taxable. And that could be completely accurate. And maybe there's other corporations in town listing
When they don't need to.
when they don't need to,
Um,
or maybe it's not accurate. I mean, though, just understanding that,
Mhm.
you know, maybe we can make some
Sure.
grid chart or
Mhm.
something
Mhm.
that's available for the public so they know how to do this stuff.
No, I agree. Is your source an accountant or an attorney or someone that would know that answer?
Yes.
It is.
They would.
No, the source you spoke with was an accountant or attorney that would know that answer.
Yes.
Yes.
They are someone now.
Okay, I want to back up if I could. The source was, you actually got the source from a tax accountant or attorney or somebody who would know this answer. I guess that's the
I
question.
don't know, attorneys would know it.
From someone that would know the answer.
Okay, so okay, very good. So if we could just get clarification on that, I think that may or may not.
Yeah, I think we should make a chart and verify, you know, and both and businesses and town know
Would
how
know.
to
I don't disagree.
function.
I don't disagree.
Here's the listing of all personal property.
In that chart is in a long process of trying to get our data more accurate. And that's really part of, that'll be our next discussion, so I'll hold off on that.
So you're saying that if it's inventory, it's not personal property, but everything else they have in the building, office furniture, storage, safes, locks, I don't know, special lighting, air conditioning, all that is not, all that is not personal property? It doesn't make sense to me. You're in a business, you have to have some place where you're conducting business, and that place has to have some kind of office equipment. And whether it's in a building, whether it's in a vehicle, or it's mobile equipment, it's equipment that you use for your business. And what we've done in the past, this board and the select board has agreed, if it's less than 5,000 value, that we're not going to assess people for a personal property tax. Good example, the landscape companies have a lawnmower. The lawnmower is personal property. It's something used in their business. It's not inventory.
It's entirely believable to me, given the way the United States is functioning, that if you file yourself as a corporation, then nothing belongs to the individual.
Well, it's a corporation, exactly right.
Okay, but we've got,
I was an S corp. I had 2 corporations when I was in real estate.
And if that's the case, then we just need our businesses in town to know that, and then they can make the decision how they want to file.
And to Jenny's point, I'm not a tax accountant. I don't have the expertise in this particular area to make a decision today. That's why it's important that we get a response as to how accurate that is, and if it is accurate, to your point, let's make sure everybody knows about it. Yeah, I think that's I mean, I'm not qualified to say yay or nay. I'm just qualified to ask to make sure we get the information.
I think it's really just a matter of people filing with the town the same way they file state and federal taxes. Whatever category you're in should be consistent across all the places that you file.
I agree. I have no disagreement with that discussion.
okay.
So resolution, what we're gonna do is, and by the way, everything we're gonna request of Stephen, we're gonna put in writing. So, but it's part of the record, and we know, and we don't have to go bouncing back and forth. So that's what we're gonna say, Fred. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, you're taking notes then?
I did, I have. Yeah.
Okay, next item, okay, discussion of RRGS. You wanna leave that with what you've
Sure.
done lately with RRG?
Yeah, and again, I don't want to spend an hour on this for information we still don't have, but I did have a productive meeting with David Burgess of our RG, and I'll quickly go through what we don't have. And unfortunately, we still don't have an answer as to why, and Fred, I'm going to give this to you, why property taxes, but land values, is that the first one? On your, yeah, why they have decreased. And we still don't have an answer. You line this up with the sales, and you'll see they've all decreased. I haven't lined that up yet. We pulled this off of the computer when I was with David. He wasn't comfortable with answering that question. He said, "That's a David. Is it what's his last name?
Manzello.
Manzello." I said, "That's a David Manzello."
We've already asked him.
I know.
But that's one of the things that I specifically asked David Manzello when he was here. Gave us his fancy statistics chart. We couldn't explain what was in there. And I said, I wanted to see the land and building values from the fiscal year 24.
By the way,
I said that at that meeting, and I said it at our last meeting. It's documented here. And that's what we asked for back then.
But getting back to Fred, the LA4 is not the form I've been told to look at that all these land and building values are on the LA3, which I asked Stephen to download. I could not get the LA3 onto an Excel spreadsheet. It's just, so I don't have, unfortunately, we're still where we were, but at least, and by the way, before I go even further, let's just stop right here. And David Burgess strongly suggested that we get David Manzello here to, and soon, so that we can go through this and not through Zoom.
Stephen, what happened when we thought we were going to have
I couldn't download it
for January
it was
9th
too hard to download.
from Stephen, and it wasn't here? David Manzello.
For January 9th.
Yeah, when we met with him by Zoom, we specifically talked to him about, here's our questions, here's the date we'd like to have the answers. And he said, yes, he could do that. And then he didn't do that. Have you had any communication with him about that?
I do, and see the data.
I understand.
Pushing
and to
or if
yes,
it's too difficult
then we'll
because
do it.
he's a subordinate, and then we have to get him out of the middle.
I completely agree. And as part of that, number one, it was advised that we put these specific questions in front of them via email. I asked RG, what's your preferred method of communication? And he said, email Stephen and RRG. And he recommended emailing Peter. I talked to Peter about it. He said, no, I don't want these emails. I don't want, I've already got enough on my plate. So the preferred, now there's, we're talking, we've been verbal all this time.
So wait, Peter isn't saying, don't send them. He's saying, don't CC me.
Don't CC him.
Okay.
So once
distinction.
it is, and this communication verbally has left us exacerbated, I would say. So anytime, that's why I'm writing down notes now. Anytime we have a request of our RG, let's put it in writing and ask for a written response. And or if we can't get the written, yes, we do. We need to do that. In my opinion,
we do.
Yeah,
we shouldn't have that too, but
probably
apparently we do.
Probably not, but
this done?
no, that's why I was. That's why I want
The first draft.
Oh, now which is no. which,
They're just questions, there's no name, nothing.
nothing, just questions
Yeah.
Just
from the
questions.
board.
If you agree, fine. Well,
Yeah, if you don't agree,
As far as I'm concerned, this is the first draft
that's all it is.
of what you're talking
And
about.
yeah, that's all it is. And when we're done, we're gonna have to be more specific. And then my response is also just a discussion point. Needs to be put back in writing. And so number one, we don't have an answer, unfortunately. And we could spend more time complaining about it, but we got to move on, in my opinion, unless you disagree, Fred.
no, I agree. with
Okay.
what you're saying, yeah.
Okay. Now, number two,
Okay,
Pine.
continue.
Now, number two was the Pine Plains. I'm sorry, number
Can I
two.
just ask you a question?
Yeah.
That discussion we just had, was that what was that on our agenda?
That's
Number three.
Okay.
That's I met with. Okay.
Okay,
And that, let me just say, yeah, Mike met, he wanted to involve the board, but we couldn't because
Right.
open meeting law
Right,
was
right.
within 48 hours. So
Right.
okay,
I told Mike, any one of us can go individually and talk with the
Right.
chief
okay,
without violating open meeting
Right.
law.
great.
And
That's
what
exactly.
Mike-
That's
Thank-
exactly.
Thank you
So-
for
Yeah.
So
spelling
that's
that
why
out.
Mike
Great.
is
Great,
telling us what he found out.
okay,
And again, when it's told to one person, have to be told to another, third party, let's get it right back to first party and we'll get there. But I'm just going over what I
okay,
talked about.
yeah,
Now, the second was, Pine Plains Estates, Kristen Lane. Does it make sense that the two would be similar, given that they're different neighborhoods in terms of value? They should not be similar. That's your the land in particular, right?
Right.
Now, number two, if you go to your tax card, you will see that Pine Plains Estates is considered a neighborhood, and then after neighborhood has neighborhood MOD, is that modification or something?
So
Yeah, so Pine Plains Estates does show as
neighborhood notification, yeah.
on the
As Pine Plains, yeah.
does show there. Now Fred's specific question was, it doesn't make sense that some people got an increase in land values and Pine Plains Estates did not.
Right.
So to that question, and I know, again, we don't have a perfect answer, but to that question, I did download, if you want to look at this Excel spreadsheet. Did I give you an Excel spreadsheet, Jenny?
No.
I didn't. One minute. This is, okay,
Finish your thought before you look for
well, the
numbers.
Excel, it's on the bottom there, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
it is, sorry.
What I did is I downloaded, I got an agent in town to give me every sale in the community that was land sale, that was somewhat consistent, if you will, with Whately. So I used Deerfield, Sunderland, and Whately. And if you look at the top part, it says under 3 acres. And you go down to the average sold price for under 3 acres is $123,390. That's the average sale price. This is a typical CMA that I would, if Fred were to ask me to do a CMA, a comparative market analysis on land, a piece of land that he's interested in, this is specifically how I would address it. And then the next category is 3+ acres, which is really not similar to under 3. And that, of course, came out with a bigger number of 271 versus 123. And if I just use Whately, if you turn that over, Jenny, if I just use Whately sales, there's only 3. The average sold price for a piece of land in Whately is $155,100. So, and again, I'm coming from Pine Plains Estates, so I may be a little biased here. However, the housing building cost, the building value of Pine Plains Estates is, of course, going to be more because they're newer, built recently. But the land cost are somewhat similar, in my opinion, because if I were to list as a realtor, if I were to list an acre of land that had access to, been mowed, has access to water, sewer, and all those things, I'd list it at 169 in a heartbeat. Why? There's only one piece of property in Whately that is currently on the market, and that is compromising the amount of. But does this make sense? If you were to come to me with a piece of land, Jenny, and say, "Give me I want to market. What should I do?" Based on what I'm looking at, I would say 159 to 163. Go ahead.
I gave you 2 other locations. What did you do with your other 2? mentioned two other sales in town of land, Masterson Road, and well, it wasn't in your analysis.
Well, was
One is-
Masterson Road, bigger?
And one somewhere else, Haydenville Road or something.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if that came up in the data that I was given from the Realtor.
And no, it didn't. It was ones that came up from the sales
Oh,
information.
Let me ask you, Fred, real quick. Were those sales private? Because RRG is not going to. It's hard to use private sales because it's you don't know until the taxes catch up. So without getting into a long, involved discussion on number 2, we're back to let's meet with David, find out. But this is my Realtor person coming to view on that one. So let's move.
Yeah, you are just showing us another way that you calculated the same questions we've had,
Based on my real, yes,
Right.
that's all I'm doing.
right?
That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
And this is showing that land values are not decreasing.
No,
And it raises the other question of why did they decrease some land values for fiscal year 25?
well, yeah,
What's the basis for that?
you're exactly right. This is a CMA. It's not going to show you decreasing land values.
No.
If anything, it's going to show you increasing land values
Yeah.
based on current
Right.
market conditions.
Right.
So again, I'm not saying we should use this. I'm just saying we need David back in again. So number 2, David needs to come. That's another thing. And again, I wanted to get through this a little more quickly because it's the same questions we've had over and over again.
But the other part of it is the neighborhood characteristics that show up in the Patriot property.
Yes.
It seems now there's no distinction for Pine Plains Estates. Pine Plains is all part of East Whately. And East Whately includes River Road, Christian Lane, Long Plain, whatever. And their land values are the 116, the same as Pine Plains.
Well, again, David needs to explain that to
Yeah.
us. From my eyes, I'm suggesting that land values in Pine Plains Estates for a 1-acre parcel of land are going to be similar for land values off of Chestnut Plain Road without a view for a 1-acre parcel of land in terms of market value. And that's different from assessed value.
Okay.
So,
But which ones of these are?
Okay, look, you guys, we don't have any uncertainty about the fact that we have questions that are
Yes.
unanswered.
yes,
We need to spell out those questions,
yes,
get David to participate
Yes.
more fully on
Yes.
answering them
yes,
than has so far.
yes,
And express some gravity that the fact he hasn't so far
yes,
is threatening the contract,
yes. I'm with you 100%.
okay?
Mine is only an opinion, and I want it from the source. I'm with you.
Okay, so having said those 3 things, is that a task for this meeting? Are we working on a document to send him
Yes,
now?
yes, we are. That's what we're trying to do. That's why I'm taking notes. We're going to work on some sort of documentation to Stephen, to RRG that is specific as to why we're concerned. That's exactly what we're doing. And again, I didn't want to spend a lengthy time in discussion, but just to note my meeting and to note that that's another point that we don't have answers to. Let's put it right. I know Fred's very frustrated with this, and I understand.
I totally get that. I just don't wanna keep talking about
I
them.
understood.
We've got 2 drafts here, basically.
Yeah.
We've got 2 lists.
Yeah. Okay,
I would rather work on a document with one or both of these on a computer and cut and paste and finish them, put them together. I don't wanna keep repeating conversations.
I'm with you. So let's move on then.
But
Let's,
carry this further, and what what are we expecting to get from RRG at whatever meeting we have asking for this is, I want to see the data that they analyzed and how they come up with the percent or whatever increases. I don't want a general statement, oh, we analyzed data and it all went up 10%.
let's be
That means
specific in our
nothing.
request.
That means nothing to me.
Yeah.
I want to see how you come up with the
Mhm.
data.
In our written
And
request,
you asked for that and we gave specific
Yes.
questions
Yes,
when we had that Zoom. And maybe Stephen got something in reply, but we
We
did
didn't,
not, and get anything,
Right,
let alone distinguishing between general answers and specific answers.
okay,
and this information is available because they had to do that to generate the fiscal 25 tax values. They had to come up with tables,
And he
reasons
told
to,
us that he did it,
reasons to
and
adjust
David
it.
told us that he
So,
did it
yeah.
personally, which is why he needs to answer these
Right.
questions.
So it's
I'm
not
with you.
like we're asking them to now stop and do something different to analyze.
that's right.
This was already done in November. We had tax classification hearings. And why
Okay.
isn't it taking 3+ meetings to get the answer?
And to Jenny's point, we still don't have the answer.
Yeah,
Regurgitating why we don't have the answer is probably not productive.
Okay.
So I'm gonna skip 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, I'm gonna just say 1, 2, 3, and 4 are more or less, we gotta get together with David.
Yeah, okay,
Yes, so we need to get together with David, other than David Burgess saying, the LA3 form is the proper form to be looking at to determine.
Well, that's an
increase.
additional question.
Yes, and we should,
We need to
Yes,
break it apart so that
absolutely.
both questions get answered.
I'm with you all the way. Let's jump to number 5. That has at least been addressed by Stephen.
okay,
And we've already asked for a little more definition on that.
Okay.
Number 6, are we all on even if our hands are tied by the state with regard, we okay with that? We can't extend the abatement process by even a minute. State of Massachusetts ties our hands. And when the taxpayer gets his bill, that's when the clock starts, not when the town has updated their information. Now that's another topic. When does the town do that? And I didn't want to go there right
Well, it sounds like we don't care when town does it.
now. Well, the state says,
Because it's when they get their bill.
yes,
So have the bills been sent out?
yes, and that's my point, is that information should be on the website for any taxpayer to look at their personal property card. Now, at the last meeting, I don't know if it was last 1 or 2 meetings ago, I think David, well, we were it was on the video one, said they were gonna update information on our website. And yeah, there is fiscal 25 data in a spreadsheet of all the 580 personal, 600 probably property values in town. That's on there, but no personal property or no property record cards are on there. There's a sales record for 2 years. I don't know why we need to put a sales record on for 2 years. People have seen sales that happened for 2 years. We never did that before. What are you gonna do with it?
I thought it was
I
good
don't know.
information.
Yeah,
Honestly.
there was other stuff that was supposed to be on there.
Okay, well, you're raising a
It's a
you're
new
raising a
concern.
separate
Yeah.
issue,
Okay, a separate
Fred,
issue.
about,
So
About
update the town
what?
records.
well, that's a different issue. What Fred is talking about is what gets posted on the town website available for the public has changed that now from what it used to be without communication or discussion.
I thought he mentioned it, but we'll leave it alone. I thought RRG did mention they were gonna put sales on there. We did put up the mission statement and
There's other stuff
But I
in
don't
there.
think this, I mean, while Fred may have questions about why sales are on there, I don't think that's the complaint. The complaint is the things that are not on
okay.
there related to this,
Right.
right? That's
Yes.
really what your concern has been,
Right.
So that's
is that fine to add some things, but leaving
Right.
out the things that people need to be able to
Yeah.
tell whether or not they should be requesting an abatement. That's
Right.
your concern.
Yes, right,
It's the
Um,
comparative data,
right,
and you're saying that's not there.
right, yes. As
Okay.
of even today, it's not there. There's nothing there for fiscal
And
25
you brought that up
property
last time
cards.
too.
Yes,
okay. I'm not gonna.
okay,
My only comment on that is, well, I'm not gonna comment. Let's leave it alone.
well, you can't change the notification. and
Right, you
the
can't change the
abatement,
notification,
But I think I've said. in
but
the
you can
past,
update the records.
that you can update the records, and if people still have an issue, people listening that have an issue with their fiscal 25 property, come see the board.
Well, they can't change it for 25,
25
but
to
they can
25.
still
Change
change
for
it for
26.
26.
Right, right.
We're talking the update of the,
They need the
Yeah.
comparative
Right,
information
Right.
so that they can
So that
abate
they-
on time. Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Well, abatement or even just a revision for fiscal 26. They won't get an abatement, they'll just get a revised assessment, put it that way.
Okay, no, I'm
Still
okay.
Clarifying
Yes,
question.
yes, thank you.
So where on the website has that information been kept historically?
Okay,
For
what,
the property record cards?
What's under, when you click on the specific property,
yeah,
on the map,
CIA.
when you click on the property,
So are
Or
you
you type
referring
in
to
an
the
address.
GIS or a link within the assessor's webpage?
I don't understand the question.
it's on the
What?
on the GIS webpage, GIS site.
Yes,
It
the
has-
GIS site, you scroll down.
Has a map, well, it has a map and you click on a location
Mhm.
Okay.
and it will give you a building sketch, I
Mm-hmm.
think, and also a property card, and then another, first when you click on it, it gives you a lengthy discussion of items that they,
Even when we were last
Consider.
there. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all there.
that's all there, that needs to be updated. I mean, that's in the system. You had to do that to get fiscal 25
Right,
data.
that's in the system. So,
So which is it? It's in the system, but it's not
updated.
posted? What's
Right,
it mean?
that
It's not
file, the file that has fiscal 25 property records is not posted.
So if I
on our
click
website.
on the 3 of our properties on GIS,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see 24 data.
Yes,
That's what you're saying.
yes.
It's not up to date.
Got it?
Yeah, it's not up to date. Can I move on or just we?
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Number 7 is basically, Stephen, you'll take the ball on that. But what I understand, they all have been sent out.
Farm vehicle.
Farm vehicle excise tax bills.
They have.
They have, okay. And from this point, I know time is short, but basically that has been addressed, at least for now. I don't know what kind of response we've gotten, but
So what's the due date for that, for them to
don't-
respond?
March 1st?
Well, that's, tax bills go out due March 1st. Is that what it is?
We gave them we talked about a deadline last time.
2-week deadline, I thought.
2-week deadline or something by the end of February, end of
It's
January.
like the end of this week.
Yeah, it's there.
9, 7, 9, something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So I guess the question is this need further discussion?
Well, did everybody respond? Did you send out the question?
No, I received 3 or 4 responses.
That's
Out of
all?
was it 11 or so that were sent out?
Well, then you need to follow up on the ones that did not
Maybe.
respond.
Okay.
Just a reminder, it's due the end of this week or whatever.
Okay. And then if I could simply close with some of the other notes. RRG tells me that our data is probably not as accurate as it could be, and they take, their data from our records. And I talked with David a bit about this. He says there's only one way to do it, is to get to every property, in which I don't think the RRG contract allows, but it is the opinion of myself that the more we do inspections, the more we can perhaps update our data. I'll give you a perfect example. This is my neighbor's house, but that's not their house. I don't know if that affects anything, but and going on with that, with all abatements, I didn't know this. Fred probably did.
I didn't agree to it.
Well, no, well, that's what RRG has told me. All abatements are handled by them, and then
Who says?
well, RRG tells me that all abatements are reviewed by them, and then after the review of those abatements, they send their findings to us. We have the final word. I didn't know
Oh,
that.
I see. So they're saying the process is, well, what does that mean, that it gets sent to them?
Well, every
It comes
abatement,
into
well,
this office,
and
Stephen receives it,
yes,
and he's supposed to do what?
give it to RG. Stephen is our RG.
I know, but is he supposed to decide on his own?
No,
Who's he?
Stephen, take this with
You
you.
have given us, you have brought abatements to us, right?
Yes, so not, real estate abatements, this will be the first process, here. And so I have collected all the abatements, for which the deadline has ended. We have about 7 or 8. And I will put together a report showing, a sales analysis, comparable sales for those properties. And a street analysis to see how those properties values align with the other values on their street. Present that information to you. There's a recommendation.
Is that, so RG's recommending to us?
Yes, there's a recommendation
Okay.
that we can provide
Yes,
in terms of approving denial. Of course, those are the board's decisions.
yes, that's
And
how
the
I understood it.
recommendation is just, I guess, our view based on the data that we're seeing.
All right, well, let's, first off, there's real estate, there's excise, personal
Oops.
properties, and
yes.
what else, what other categories?
Real estate, excise, and personal property.
Is that all of them?
For the excise, those ones aren't so much a comparison. That's kind of a more or less like an auto like calculation. based on
That's
the
more
months.
factual, how long have they had their vehicle?
Yes.
Right,
Okay,
And we did not receive any personal property
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
so, yeah.
Well, there won't be any.
So you wanna bring that up to,
It's over the-
Want to bring that up, Fred, what you just found?
So,
This is in the RG
The
contract.
contract says you will inspect, review, and formulate recommendations on properties under abatement appeal. So that's what we're talking about. You
Right.
provide recommendations to the
Right.
board.
that they will,
They
Yeah.
will do that.
okay,
That was new to me.
So,
I didn't know
okay,
that. And that's why I noted it here.
okay, that's good to clarify, but, so, but I would like to know what the process is. So Stephen receives the abatement,
logs them.
and and then what? Because we're the final report, so
Correct.
what's the in-between piece?
The in between piece is me finding properties that are on that street and seeing if the adjustment on that specific property is like out of line with what we're seeing on the others.
Do you have
Okay,
that
so you are
abatement
doing
form?
the
Chris?
Didn't.
factual
The
investigation.
ones that
Yes.
online, I didn't bring
And
one.
then are you,
You had one
making
line, 2-page
the
thing.
decision?
We'll send it.
Yeah,
are you
don't,
talking to
I
somebody at
did not.
RRD
No,
about
so
that?
I'm making doing the analysis and then providing a recommendation. And if I need help in that process, then I consult with someone at our
And then they put in writing what they think. They just put a recommendation in writing for us and we decide yay or nay.
So as an RRG employee, Stephen's collecting the data on any rebate, whatever the right word is.
Abatement, sure.
Abatement,
Yeah.
thank you, abatement requests. And then presenting all of the current pending requests to us for agreement or disagreement.
Correct.
And if we disagree, then presumably we're gonna instruct him to get
So
some other data.
That or, yes, get more data and or deny or accept. Yeah, exactly.
There's something missing in here.
Hmm.
It seems on that abatement request, I don't have the form here, 2-page thing, that there's some language that says that the person can meet with the board to discuss this. There is a time period for the board to respond to their abatement request, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, or whatever. I think some language like that is on that form.
Can we look?
And, because in the past, we've had people come in and talk to us or talk to the assistant assessor about their abatement.
Well,
They
he
just
would-
don't hand in the form and then the board here decides yes or no, and it goes back to the people. I think
Correct.
they have a right to meet with the board.
Right,
Yes.
but wait, let's clarify. Can we look at a form?
Yeah, but we
Sure.
need to look at the form to see.
Because we need to clarify who it is they would talk to, whether
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
us or
Right,
Sure.
Stephen, or
Right.
first one and then the other. And if their timeline is from the point of notification of a tax bill or getting a response
right.
to their request.
right. And because the other part, if we can't agree on it, or it's not presented enough data, we can have an inspection of the property.
Correct.
Don't make an inspection.
Correct. Especially if it wasn't inspected or they didn't let us in.
Yeah, they didn't let us in, yeah.
I might, because I know that people come in, well, they'll talk to the clerk, wanting certain questions, or they'll
And
talk to
that's
Stephen.
Stephen is the clerk.
Well,
He's
Yeah.
just an RRG employee
Yeah.
instead of the town employee.
but I don't think necessarily that we wouldn't be who they would talk to. We
No,
only
but
see
we're
them
the-
after
We're the appeal.
we're the
Yeah,
appeal.
yeah,
We're the
yeah.
appeal. Now, at that point, yes, they would come in perhaps and say, I don't agree or whatever. Which brings me to the next question. How many abatements do we got? I bet we don't have many, but
Do we trust RG to do that for us?
Well, it's him.
Yeah.
That's why I
well,
wanted to
then
spell
you
it
want to
out.
put that in. Maybe we need to put that also.
But we can't get answers ourselves to why things were,
But if he's
Change.
the one doing it,
well, he's gonna show them the fiscal 25 property card, here's your data.
and the fiscal year 25.
24 is not available online, so I don't know what they're gonna do.
That's funny because when RRG and I were meeting, when Stephen was there, I think they were talking about this particular abatement. And David Burge said, you got this? This looks pretty simple. That's all he said. And I'm like, okay. And David was adamant.
This was the one that we went to, wasn't it?
I don't
The
know.
one on Hazel Road.
I don't think that, I don't know.
Well,
I don't think that was the one.
Okay,
I don't think that was the one.
Okay,
So,
well, I have less concerns.
give that to Fred. He's
uh,
probably knows exactly where to look.
so
No later than, must be returned, filed with the assessors not later than due date, of the first actual tax payment.
Then it goes into a long discussion.
Taxpayer information about abatement procedures. You may apply for abatement if your property is one, overvalued. Explanation in that. Two, disproportionately assessed in comparison with other properties. Three, classified incorrectly. Four, partially or fully exempt. Your application must be filed with the assessors, which means
Right. In writing.
dated. Unless you are the mortgagee, in which case your application must be filed during the last 10 days of the abatement application period. Then there's another deadline, it's within 3 months of the bill. Here's where they're talking about,
Right.
assessors can't,
We're tied.
Can't.
Hands are tied.
and you may appeal the disposition of your application to the appellate tax board, or if applicable, the county commissioners. I don't even know what those are,
Appellate tax board.
Yeah.
The final say.
but who is it?
Massachusetts
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't seem, right to meet with the board
I didn't see it.
or,
That's-
a date to respond by. Then we're, okay. Now, this is. Sure.
So are we wanting more clarification from RRG on this process? Or are we basically saying, RRG, do your thing and give us your recommendations?
Before they respond.
Well, before they respond to the taxpayer, yes,
Yes.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah,
Was that-
absolutely.
Was that there?
That's the impression I got.
Okay.
I think that makes sense to me. If you think we need to put that writing back to RRG, we certainly can, but I think we're
Well,
good on that, in
Stephen,
my
what's
opinion.
your understanding? Are you answering taxpayers before
So when
it comes to this board?
you're saying answering taxpayers,
If a taxpayer fills out an abatement form,
Mhm.
you then collect data and come up with an opinion of a response. What's your next step?
my next step is to present that information to the board. Also with all of the received applications, I think it's like a standard practice to schedule an inspection with the homeowner. But I do not make a decision
Decisions,
on
right?
that statement, whether it's mentioned or not.
Okay.
Okay.
And do we automatically schedule an inspection?
Let me just
Probably
say,
not.
what says here, assessor's disposition says upon applying for an abatement, you may be asked to provide your assessor written information about the property and permit them to inspect it. Failure to provide information or permit an inspection within 30 days of the request may result in a loss of your appeal rights. And it says the assessor has 3 months from the date your application is filed to act on it, unless you agree in writing before that period expires to extend it for a specific time. Assessors do not act on your application within original extended periods deemed denied. Notified in. So we have 90 days
To respond,
to respond.
right?
They have 30 days to provide
Right,
information
90
if they
days to
want, and we have 90 days longer to respond.
Well, we have forever to respond because if we don't act, it goes our way, which is
Yeah,
such
A little bizarre,
user unfriendly system.
little bizarre.
but that could be because of they want an inspection, we can't go out because state of emergency and for winter
Right,
storms. So we
right.
can't
There's
go out
always
for
an
2
exception
weeks.
to every rule.
There's always some exception, so
Right.
we have to delay, or we can't see the property this time of year or something.
Or they all have
So-
COVID or,
So
whatever.
that's why we can ask for up to 3 months.
Gotcha.
So,
So I want to go
Yeah.
back, if I could. Are we okay with RRG?
well,
Or,
we need an answer from them within the 30 days, I guess, is what it amounts to. Yeah.
okay, so RRG is going to look at all abatements and give us recommendations. Do we need more specific language to RRG regarding this?
I'd like to just clarify the automatic inspection piece, because I thought what we were saying was I didn't think we were automatically scheduling somebody who had asked for an abatement
Nor
or
did
an
I,
inspection.
but that's from the state of Massachusetts. So you're not going to change that.
I don't read this to say that. I'm reading it to say if you're asking for one,
Mm.
Provide information or inspection.
right, but I think we only want an inspection if they're
Yeah, there's some questions.
disagreeing
Yes,
with our answer.
yes. We may want that.
Yeah,
We may, it's not automatic. We may say, you know what, our
Okay.
data shows differently.
I mean, look, nobody's gonna ask for an abatement unless they think we've overcharged
Of
them,
course,
right? If they think we've undercharged them,
they're not gonna say words.
they're,
Of course,
they're happy.
of course.
So they wanna demonstrate to us that their property is worth less.
Yes,
And we say, we don't think so.
well, yes, we could say that.
We're sticking with our assessment,
Yes,
and they wanna challenge that.
Yes.
At that point, that's when we need an inspection.
Yeah, right.
We don't need it, I
correct.
don't wanna appear punitive because people filed for an
Of
abatement.
course not. I mean, you want to give them every opportunity
Yeah.
to show us why they have different information and and we need to listen to those opportunities
Right.
that they're trying to present to us.
I mean, I guess if they're saying, if they're saying they think their property is worth less, then maybe it should be an automatic inspection.
Well, I think we're
know.
jumping ahead a bit. I mean, it depends on what comes our way and if we may decide to or may not to. Yeah, it's a lot of ifs in the question.
I'm just responding to Stephen having
Mm.
gathered from RRG that it's standard.
Well, yes, I guess standard in the sense as you can see in the state form that refusal and inspection is grounds for denial of but whether the board would like to have inspections scheduled and to follow what is written there is board's decision.
I don't think it's not following it to
Yeah.
say we're not
No.
gonna automatically inspect. Not suggesting we don't follow it, I don't read it to say it's automatic that if you ask for an abatement, we schedule an inspection.
Should there be a disagreement?
Okay, but we kind of done that.
What's the that, we've kind of done what?
Well, not really for maintenance, but other inspections.
We've kind of done what? Scheduled it.
Well, remember the one on Pine Plains Estates, I think you were with me there, and we showed a second floor on the drawing, the building permit, and they said there's no second floor. So the question comes, do we believe them, no second floor or not, when our documents show there is? So we actually went in to verify that there was not a second floor.
But I believe you.
Yeah,
Okay,
true that. I know, well, you know the one I'm talking about.
I may.
about,
I probably
yeah.
the one I decided not to go to because I live there.
I know, but that's one case where, do you believe, it comes down to,
Well,
do you
yeah, I
believe what
mean, maybe-
people say, or do we need to, and that's when we,
no, right, if
Inspect.
people are saying you've overvalued my property, then we probably need to go see it, so.
yeah,
There's a good chance we
Okay.
may, unless we have data, unless they have faulty data or off the wall data.
Or we
Or
agree.
we have faulty
Or
data.
we agree that it's overvalued and then
Of
it's
course.
not,
Yes.
then we're just granting the abatement.
Well,
Yeah.
If we're comfortable, I just wanted to go to one more point.
okay,
And basically, you and I, Jenny, we went on inspections and we were given, and a category was given to those good or excellent or all of these categories. And I did not know what those categories meant. And I asked Stephen to give me the categories through Patriot Card, and that's not, it's complicated. So the bottom line is we should know the categories on this card that affect value and the categories that don't. Our RG can provide that, and if there was training available, I would take it.
Of course,
It was not in the one-on-one course, no.
Oh.
And I would take
yes.
if the Patriot is going to offer some sort of a program for training, I would jump on that myself. Because it's very important for us. We can't go out and say that's an A, B, C, that's a tutor, that's a ranch, that's a two-story, and not know the ramifications of those assignments.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. So I didn't want to get into a long discussion on that either. And I will say that when we went out with David, he knows it.
Yeah.
Just like this. And that part of our GM, I'm very happy with.
Right.
He knows it.
Yeah.
He was taking the
Well,
time.
that was clear.
Yeah, he knows it. So,
And see, that's where our assistant assessor before, with that kind of information
yes,
too.
yes. She'd been doing it for so many years.
Experience with all that, so she knew the difference of grades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you've been working with her for years and years, and your knowledge to this town is quite valuable on the assessor's board. I'm a little new, and Jenny's been there longer than me. But anyways, without going into further discussion, that's something that we should get an answer to.
Yeah.
What categories make a difference? What categories? Oh, here's a perfect example. This one's got insulation as extensive.
Yeah.
That's just a remark. That's not a, oh, extensive versus good. That's just a remark. That's all that is. And how do you even tell if insulation?
No,
You
that,
rip into the wall.
that's gonna affect
Well, according to,
that and electrical.
well, insulation extensive. According to David Burgess, he said that does not affect us. So we're already, at
You know,
a
that's
It's
an
interesting it affects
value.
tax. You get tax credits for insulation.
Well, maybe that's what it
And how
does.
do you know?
Well, that's
How
what my
do you
question is. How do you
know?
go? You rip into a wall?
That's an
Look at
excellent
that
question.
insulation. So
Well,
again,
the Mass Save assessments do drill
do.
into walls.
they do.
Well, we've looked at that, and it's mostly newer construction, you can tell whether they
Have it or not,
have
extensive or not.
excess insulation above the minimum. And whether, you have 2x6 walls where you have that, you have a basement with trusses, it's all foam insulated, well, then that's a higher insulation value.
And
And how would you even
hasn't
tell?
standard changed? If you have Mass Save come now,
Mhm.
they have a different goal than what they had 5 years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, yeah,
We can't tell that unless we go in to inspect to see it.
and even if you go in, how do you figure it out?
Well, just looking at it,
If you can see the thickness of
Yeah.
the wall, but you can't always.
No.
well, you can determine sometimes by the windows.
Oh, perhaps.
Right.
And again, without getting into a discussion of each one of these,
Yeah.
we would like
Yeah.
to know which ones
Yeah,
are remarks and which ones is value oriented or lack of value. Depreciation schedules, there's another one.
well, it really, yeah, I mean, it goes back to understanding that form.
Yes, absolutely.
There's so many
So,
categories on that form.
yes,
And,
and you're exactly right. And
And
we can't be
with-
assigning without knowing.
well, I mean, that's one of the reasons that RG is working is because,
They do it 1,000 times a day. They know. And I wanted to leave it at that. Didn't mean to take this much time, but clearly we have some ongoing issues that need to be resolved. And I'm all for resolving those issues as soon as possible. And that we're going to have to get David here. David,
Okay, so you've made notes of what we're asking him to do.
well, so far I might have to go review this with you real quick. Number one, personal property versus being taxed versus not being taxed based on a corporation or not. Number two is analysis of the actual data as to what you have said here more than once on 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Mhm.
Show us the data. I've got updating town records. That's all I put there. When should that be done? And we're gonna have to sit down and formulate a good response that can be reviewed by all of us, which leads to the obvious question: can we do this? We can't do it without another meeting, can we? We can't do it without another meeting.
and
The
we
soonest
can't,
or another meeting would be Thursday at 12:30 or 1 o'clock.
I guess the question is, we
No.
can't, we
We
have to either do
can-
it right now or, go ahead,
well,
Jenny.
we could do it right now, but we can do it if Fred emails us individually.
Okay,
Right?
Right,
so I can,
Say, you can take this document and say, what would you add to this? And
okay,
then incorporate whatever from this.
okay, without
And then
us,
send it to me and
Mhm.
say, How would you change this?
Okay.
In the back right,
Yes,
Okay, so
we can't
That's
have a
good.
three-way email discussion, but
understood.
the chair can communicate with each of
each one,
us.
and you responded to me,
Okay.
not to all.
Okay,
Reply
Yeah.
all, don't do that.
so we're good on that. So I've taken some notes, but we're good on
I've got some more.
that. Okay,
So
Excuse me.
when should we be doing this? This week? What's
immediately,
our goal by, okay,
immediately. I would
Okay.
say we should have this wrapped up immediately, as soon as we can.
okay,
So I like your idea. That's going to be sent to each one of us for further follow-up. And then you're going to send them.
okay, I'll let you do that, since you're gonna write them up to start, with.
So what, okay, so,
You send it to each one of us.
Send
and it's-
okay, send each one individually. Okay,
Ask the response back to you,
okay, I've got you now.
Does he have this in his
Yes.
computer?
yes,
Okay,
Yes, okay, send,
so
okay,
take a first stab at combining these two,
yep,
and then send it to each of us for editing,
okay, perfect.
and we will each respond to you. And that will then produce.
That'll get us,
You
keep
will
us out of
get- You
trouble.
will take two sets of feedback
Mhm.
and incorporate a second draft, which you will then send to both of us.
So I combine both, send it to Fred.
Yeah.
And then, and
you,
just you,
no, you can send
You
it
can send it
Jen-
to us, you just can't
individual.
send it to us together,
to Dennis.
Individual.
and we will each reply to
okay,
you.
okay, and then get a response.
Right.
And then we'll be able to produce another draft, which hopefully will be almost final.
Well, I'm open to, any discussion, but understood.
Well, that's what drafts are for.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're hoping to do that, okay, let's just say this week,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Okay,
go
and-
back to the drawing board
and when are we asking RRG
to,
to meet and respond to these?
when's our next meeting?
Yeah, that one's it.
Well, it's the following 2 weeks, Thursday, 2 weeks, Tuesday.
Um,
Uh,
unless you wanna,
Do we want to give him 2 weeks, or you want it next week? We can call another
We
meeting.
gave him till
We need-
January 9th,
yeah, we need to,
and he
tighten
didn't
it
give
up.
us anything.
so if we say we
So-
want it next week,
Next week.
by what day?
Well, it would be the,
So we're gonna do another meeting next week,
yes, yes.
okay?
Uh, It's a week from today. Today is.
Is the, what, 4th? Yeah,
it's
11th?
11th. But looking at the town calendar, there's two other, well, we can't do it in the evening. We were gonna do evenings in the second one. We can't do it at 4 o'clock
this is all booked up.
because it's, well, no, not at 4, 6, I think from 6 on. We could do it at 4 o'clock or 11:30 if you want.
As you know, I'm flexible.
I cannot do 11:30.
Okay, well, let's do it at 4 o'clock. then.
Yeah, are we planning on 2 hours?
Well,
4 o'clock till.
hopefully,
Well, can I mean,
We
can
have
we
the
do
meeting
5
till-
is my
oh,
question.
gotcha,
There's another meeting, there's two other meetings, I think, starting at
6.
6. Two other meetings, so there's no place to do it, I don't. Is that true? Are you looking at a calendar, Stephen?
I don't have the calendar.
Yeah, but-
Or-
And we want to be clear in our document to David Manzillo that this is something we've asked for a long time now.
Yeah.
And we really want you here. By Zoom is really not how we want to do it this
Right.
time. And be prepared with whatever data you can to satisfy or answer this board's questions. And
Yes.
then probably make it clear that from this point on, we don't want to go 3 more months to get answers.
Okay.
Is that the wind? What is?
Okay, so.
Okay, so we're again, I didn't mean to spend that much time on this. I think I'm not looking at the agenda. There it is. We must be to the Hero Act by now.
Okay.
Okay, well,
What was street listing referencing?
that was updating the files on, well,
Okay. In the 25.
well. Yeah, just the 25 and on the website.
Okay.
It's the 11th, okay. It's a meeting, it's 2 meetings at 6, 1 meeting at 4, so we can put it 4. Okay. The other part of the street listing is that notebook that's in the assessor's office that lists the kind of information that's on the webpage, website of all the property values. It lists it by street address and it lists it by property owner. It's in a 3-ring notebook, so anybody that comes in, we want to come in and look at something, can open that notebook and find the owner, the property owner. It doesn't, I don't know if it says the value or not, maybe. And then you can go from there to find out, look on a website if you want to look at property card. I mean, that's something we've been doing every year. That's the new value. So if somebody comes in, you want to see, well, what's the value of your neighbors
It's
on your
already,
street?
it's already on.
Okay, but if they want to see the property
allows you
card,
to
well, I
look.
guess they can do that. I guess
It
it's,
allows you to look at a whole street at a time without clicking on each.
yeah, I guess that
house.
way, right.
Probably.
So it's in that the notebook in the office that you can see. And it's updated every time you update for the tax classification there. All the new data should be in there.
Now,
Print it out.
You do know that the RRG has put every value of every Whately owner already online.
Right, yeah.
Everyone.
It's just a different way of looking at the
Okay.
Different way of
information.
doing
That's
it.
That's fine.
That's
And it
fine.
was out in the lobby. I mean, it was like opposite the
Yeah.
check-in desk,
Okay.
I guess, when, January, February. I
No,
don't
no,
know.
I'm not, I'm good.
And it's also for them people who don't have a computer.
Yes.
There are some that don't have that, so if they want to come in and see.
I wish I was one of them.
Yeah,
So, well, let me ask you, when can that be updated? When can that be printed out? It's a matter of printing that out and putting it in the 3-ring folder, 3-ring binder. When can that be done?
It's been done.
It's been done?
Yes, it's been done.
Okay.
Okay. Cross that one off.
now that does the number 6, updating town property assessment records. Is
No,
that- what's
that's
that?
the fiscal 25.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what we kind of,
talked earlier.
right.
Okay.
We discussed, we did discuss that. That's going to be in our memo to RRG.
Okay.
And then the Hero Act one.
So, were you able to pull up those other exceptions?
So this top page is what Fred provided at maybe last meeting or the meeting before that.
Oh, I remember that.
Before that,
Classification hearing.
underneath that, the information that was reported to the state for fiscal year 24 was the exemptions, amount recipients, and the amounts.
Right, so some of these are Hero Act. The veteran is just Hero Act stuff, right?
You mean on this document?
This
Oh, gotcha,
includes
gotcha.
every exemption,
Why does it say
But-
comment
but-
on
right?
it?
Or this does too, I guess.
Well, what was the clause for the HERO Act that applied to certain one of these conditions? I don't have that.
Oh, here.
What is the HERO Act? You gotta look at what conditions it applies to for exemptions. What does it say? 41C,
I have
Oh,
no
look here,
idea how to
class.
read this.
22,
It's 20, this is exactly what, yes. What-
22, all A through, okay, that's 12,000, right? A through F.
There you go. You just answered one question, Fred.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's 12,009, yeah.
It's in here.
Amount
That's 22.
You can kind of say
It's a 12,000
Okay.
they're already getting.
So
and if I-
Veterans,
yes,
associate.
all the 22s.
and, and this is what I would recommend,
Well, my question is, is it a flat,
optional.
you guys, all of these, is it a flat amount or is it a percentage?
What they're getting already, it's a flat
The dollar amount,
dollar.
okay. So,
Like, see, the 22A, there's 10 of them, the total is 4,000, so each one is only 400. Each one is specific for,
uh-huh,
and
Okay.
see, the one for 22D, surviving spouse, it's one of them, it's the 4,000. It's 1 4, that's 1,000 for veteran surviving spouse, whatever that condition was, 22D.
so what's the difference between B2B and E?
Surviving spouse,
Yes.
and one is living and one isn't.
So you said 22D and 22E?
D is veteran, it's not living, and 20E probably he's still living. Because there's a difference of 4,000 versus 1,000.
Those were more dead than alive.
That's just wrong.
The spouse gets more money. More
Oh.
money. than
That's just wrong.
Okay, so,
The blind is the same. That's a- Well,
okay, so
Section 5.
Stephen, you just told me there's 10,
so we got 22.
15 and on the veterans benefit, and
Yes,
Fred's sheet here
15,
has
yeah.
18.
That was actually.
I'm not sure which is.
Okay,
That was
so it's a
actually
different year.
a different
Okay,
year. Okay, so there's 15. There's 15 on there.
okay.
$12,000.
Well, I'm just trying to follow you, to be honest.
But isn't the HERO Act, is the HERO Act a flat dollar amount?
Well, they do ask you at the end of that.
So, Chris. So, action.
The last paragraph on that. Oh, it's good. Hey, how you doing?
Don't make our meeting longer, but showing up now.
I got a 30, that's it.
Understood.
Good,
Sooner.
good, I'm glad.
So, so if they're each getting, if it's a $400 amount, 22A, if they're getting 400, this says we can increase it 100%, so they would get 800.
Yes, that's how I read it.
Okay.
You could pick a percentage. if you
So,
want.
so really, so it's
Well-
100% of the 12,000, so increase it by 12,000. So 100%, right?
Um,
22A through veterans, 15 of them for 12,000, $99.01.
yes.
So if we agree 100%, they would get another 12,000.
Well, I'm just in favor of helping veterans. So.
Yeah.
I am too, I'm just
Okay.
not
Mm.
necessarily favor of helping them astronomically more than we help other categories.
That's a good question.
That's why I wanted to look at the
Yes.
comparisons.
That's fine.
So you want
So
surviving spouse?
Handicap benefit is for something, the low income 250, seniors is 500, and I'm asking. I find these very confusing to have 4 different 17s. And is 17. People over 7. So
Well, I don't know. I guess they're not getting it. Don't have any 17s.
what does this
Well,
mean though?
well,
Surviving
What-
spouse, what is the 17?
Why does it say Conway on the top?
I saw that. I just noticed that, yeah.
Is this Conway data or is this Whately data?
I was wondering, I was gonna say something, but you guys are so,
Yeah, I wondered if
So the difference between the 15 and 18, with reference to dial, I guess, but
I'm sorry, I put this together, but
understood.
so do you have one for Whately then?
yes, I do.
Yeah, I can send it to me. I understand. So, okay. The senior circuit breaker program,
Income tax. Tax.
so that doesn't really, that's not us doing it,
No, it's not us. It's,
that's the
State.
state,
Yes.
okay. So the state says your income tax can be reduced based on what percent of your income your tax bills
Yes.
are. All right, that's different than 17 on here?
Yes,
What the hell is 17?
17 is for, it's surviving spouse, uh, children who, people over 70 who have assets of less than, I think it's 40,000 or so.
Does that include their house?
Yeah, on their houses. None of our exemptions include their house.
Okay,
So I think it's about $75 a student.
okay,
I assume you're discussing a bid rate or the,
here, yeah.
Yes.
So can one get both a circuit breaker and a 17?
you know, there's the circuit breaker company in state, that's there,
Okay,
completely separate.
so my neighbor who is over 70 and has very little assets either doesn't know about 17 or to be on the right list. That's what we. So, and what's the dollar limit on 17? No?
Yes, we don't have,
Yes,
I
it's like
believe the
for
asset,
PDF.
I believe the assets are 40,000.
Yeah,
I believe the exemption on itself. We have to research those.
but that one's basically considered a senior and low income combination. So we've got senior, we've got low income.
So it's,
This is the abatements. I'm sorry,
for the, stuff.
veterans, gotcha.
They have recommendations on.
Yes.
There
But
are,
we're not, that's the whole point. That was part of our previous discussion. And to look at those. We're looking at Stephen's data and conclusion. Where we decide.
17, I thought we did it 17. Yeah,
Okay,
it's two.
so
So,
Certainly.
it's interesting that Conway allows veterans 12,000. I'm sorry,
yeah.
we only allow 5,600.
well, what 56, what's 56 divided by 14?
Well, it's different because you got three of them with 1,000. One at 53.
I'm sorry, what was the
Hold
question?
on, you're- I'll do it. It's not a
I was gonna say,
question.
I can't get to my phone, right? I'm phone challenged.
So we're talking of the 22 A through F at 600. So you're
That one. 22 A through F, yeah, it's 400. And that, not the 1,000 or the 4,000, which is not 4,000 anymore, it's gone up to
What,
53,
22 A through F?
65.
I'm
What's
missing something.
That's a surviving
Surviving
spouse
spouse.
and you're, but meaning surviving the war, wars, surviving military service, but you're still alive. For,
The spouse is the veterans.
You said 22A
oh
through
my God,
F.
I'm so
Small
confused.
A through F, first
22,
line.
22 D and E. Who's
Oh,
alive
I'm
and
sorry.
who's not?
Yes.
So really, the total for 22 A to F doesn't make sense. 14 for 5,600, and then you list D and E for
That's
8,000 something.
They're different. They're different.
yeah. So what's the differences between them, please?
22 E is 100% disabled.
Yeah.
So they get $1,000 each.
Yeah.
And the surviving spouse is someone who lost their life as a result of military action.
Right,
So they get a full exemption.
right.
So that's why, whereas the,
That's not a dollar amount.
that's not, it's not a fixed dollar amount, that's whatever the tax law is.
It's your tax bill, what your tax bill is, yeah.
Okay.
22 A, 3F, they all get $400. So 14 times 400 is 5,600.
Okay. So that is the one that we're being asked about, just the 400. Do we want to increase it any amount up to 800?
You know, you're also looking at the 22E though.
Yes, you would be.
1,000 now is gonna go to 2,000, which if we agree with 100%.
Okay.
So do we, because
So
you
those
can't
two.
change D's tax rate, change that.
And this is what this document is referring
Yeah.
to.
That's the hero.
Gotcha. And then at the very end, they give you recommendations.
So, yeah, do we want, 22E go from 1,000 to 2,000, and then 22A to F to go from 400 to 800.
Now remember, before you do this, you're not gonna get any more reimbursement from the state for it. You're only gonna get the same reimbursement you can now.
Okay.
Because it's a local option.
They reimbursement amount, yeah, it's gonna stay the same on this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it's coming under text. What is the board?
Well, I've already would increase it 100%. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. Does it have to be, does it say every year, or is this a one-time deal?
Looks like it doesn't. It looks like for right now it's a one-time deal. It doesn't say per year.
Beginning on or after.
It doesn't give a date here, but I can see what they think.
Who's
Again,
supposed to know
I'm
when
okay with
these
that.
laws change?
We can notify them. So we give it.
Unless you, that would be my recommendation. You're certainly have an opinion on that
Well,
too.
the assessors, even though it's just
Here's don't look at people, here's the three that apply for 400, so these are gonna update.
Again, I didn't need to see that to come up with my recommendation.
I'm in a little trouble that
Or go 50%,
I'm a little troubled that if you're blind, you don't get any. Over 70, you don't get any.
Okay,
No, it's not money. You're not getting money, having a lesser expense.
can I interfere?
Please.
There is a separate bylaw or option. For so it's called the optional additional exemption, which is based on the same theory that you're talking about here, the 100%, up to 100%. That has to be voted every year, and that affects all classes of property, all classes of exemption.
Exemptions.
And if you had that in place and we voted every year, you would not vote this.
So we can either vote solely for the military status,
Yes.
or we can vote across the board for all tax exemptions,
And
not
you do-
exemptions, reductions.
And you would do that every year. Sorry, meeting.
Well, when we make a recommendation to the select board, do they have final say?
Well, the time meeting here.
or
Okay.
town meeting, comes to
Okay.
that.
Okay.
I would. I just, no disrespect to veterans, but the percent of tax money that goes to the military industrial complex, and then to only reduce taxes for people who've been part of that, that doesn't sit right with me. I'd rather defer this to a town decision.
But you know my position, Fred, so I guess it's up to you.
Okay. So you're saying we shouldn't have.
No, I'm saying, let's propose that the town consider the question of whether all reductions should be looked at on an annual basis, rather than the assessors board make a decision specifically about the veterans. Hero Act.
Take the 41C. Senior 70,
It's gonna,
so 41C.
there's
On here?
the surviving
Yeah,
spouses,
there is.
minors, or persons, that 17D. And 37.
Right.
Would also be included. Well,
That's
all
also-
of the classifications would be included. So the HERO Act, on this page of classifications, the HERO Act only affects 2. And David's saying the town could consider all of them.
What's this bulletin suggesting? Isn't it
No, no,
suggesting?
no, here actually said, back 7.
No, I don't mean people, I mean of the number of
Oh, sorry.
classifications. Right, 22A through F and 22E, right?
Could I ask this question? The bulletin we've been presented with, does it ask us to look at the other?
Well, the bulletin
Exemption.
was a law change
Right.
allowing us the option of increasing 2
Yes,
of this page of
Correct.
classifications.
that's what the bulletin was.
David is informing us that we have the option of bringing to town meeting the whole slew of classifications.
I think in that bullet that I remembered, somewhere towards the bottom, will say, if you're ready, take the optional basement, you need to do this.
Here, let me get it to you. I'll get it to you. I'll get it to you. That's what I thought we were asked.
No, we weren't asked to do anything. We were given notification that the state now allowed us to do that.
Well, when I say ask, Peter requested our input. Just like that.
Right, and my input is, I don't like just looking at 2 out of however many classifications this is. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, if 27 classifications.
But we don't have any,
Yeah, sorry.
any in the other the majority of the categories, so.
We have any in 2 other categories.
Yeah, this
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well,
5.
17,
Review it,
and then you have
and,
these others and
Wait,
22.
Okay, we have 5.
So I read that.
We have 5 classifications that residents are in. We have 22 people,
Okay,
and I do not like being asked to increase discounts for 2 of the 5 classifications in use. I would prefer to propose further discounts for all 5 classifications in use, but really it's all 27 classifications because other people could move into town that any of them fit. And the HERO Act only addresses 2.
Right, but we don't know what the other ones are gonna be, ever gonna change.
We have the option to increase theirs. That's what
Okay,
they're saying.
If you look, number 5. As you go, halfway around it says, clause 22J will not apply in a year in which the town already uses clause 59 5C and a half. And that is the optional additional exemption that you could vote, because that would do exactly the same as the HERO Act does. The difference is the HERO Act is only voted once. This optional additional is voted every year, and the percentage could go from anywhere of an increase from, well, you wouldn't increase by 0, but from 1 to 100%. And then you have that control every year, so.
But if you look at the other ones aren't, a 14C, there's only 4.
Is that Witness or Conway?
We were looking at Whately now. Do you want to see
Whately?
Whately? Yeah, it's Whately, yeah.
That's the other one, it's not, they won't get anything. It's
Which one?
Why would-
senior cess, I don't know what category that is.
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, 41C, now, it's not,
Property tax abatement program.
it's not on here for
I'm not,
41C.
okay,
We don't have,
I'm looking at this sheet. There are 27 classifications on this sheet. As I'm understanding our discussion, the HERO Act question gives us the option to increase the deductions on 2 of these classifications.
Right.
And I am saying, why should we look at just 2 when there's another mechanism to look at all 27? And I think the logical answer is because we credit service to this country more than we credit hardship.
Yeah.
I mean, is there another
Well,
argument?
all of the exemptions for veterans have some sort of disability. It's
Could be
not
a-
just service,
Right, that'd be a hardship right then and there.
you have at least 10% disability for service. For living out and so.
Okay, so we are recognizing military service as more deserving of assistance than any other reason for hardship or disability.
Yes, but for any other hardship or disability, you must do a higher exemption.
No, you don't. Blindness is
500,
We have 2 that are blind
for 875,
for 37.
437, but they,
but then the state kicks in. Okay, but and then we have the 17D, that's 175.
So this one
that's
is
just
blind.
based on age, there's no consideration. Or assets, no consideration. The difference between 17 and 41 is there's no consideration of income for 17, just assets.
Meaning what? It can be less because you might you might have a lot of money. You might have a lot of assets.
Assets limits $40,000, but there's none for surviving spouse or senior over 65 or 70, whatever we adopted here.
I'm not following the point.
Okay, 17 is purely based on assets.
Yeah,
You got a $1 million house included. $100,000 income a year from your pensions, and it wouldn't include it. Whereas 41C, if you go down, there's a limit on the income, as well as the assets. So you get a higher amount of the 41C.
well, in Whately, we have no one on course 41. There are
Okay,
people we have are on 17, whether that's right or not, I don't know.
did, we did have something.
Let me grab that map. Yeah, let me just see.
There's no asset. There's no asset information for the 22 category. Is that what you're saying?
There's no assets considered in the Act 22 because they're all service related.
Right. There's no asset.
There's no more assets related to 22 at all.
Right, none there, yeah. Okay, so it's the other ones there are. So we're only asked for the 22 categories right now
Right.
for the HERO Act, and so your concern is you're not addressing the 17D or the 4137, I guess, category 37, the blind.
Yeah, well, and the other categories that we just don't happen to have anyone in. Fred,
I know.
make a deciding vote.
So you're saying no change, you don't agree with
I'm
it?
not saying no change. I'm saying bring the question of change to a town meeting and put through that process where we're treating all exemptions in a bulk rather than these two. I have no problem with changing them. I just don't like changing only 2 out of 27 classifications.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, very good. And I am of the opinion that veterans who put their lives on the line should be given these opportunities, not to get a maximum amount of exemption that we can give them. Even though, to Jenny's point, there are other categories here. I don't think one category is more important than the other. I do believe, well, let me rephrase that. I'm for a veteran. Anybody who's put their life on the line for this country, I want to respond in kind, in any way I can. It's not mega bucks, but it's something. So that's my opinion.
So based on what Jenny's concerns are, that we should look at other categories, you still feel 100, you want to go with 100%?
I do. 100. I 100% feel we should, given what we've been given, yes, 100%. Should we look at other categories down the line? Sure, I got no problem with that. But today, this would be my vote.
Okay, if you wanted to address our concerns, you could use 59.5C and a half, as I say, and suggest that to the board of town meeting and let them decide on the percentage of
Is that 59? See,
59.
That's the first one, right?
And that bullet number 5, it's the
Yeah, gotcha. I'm sorry, 59.5C and a half?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
and that's something that's voted every year. And I would cover the moments with Jen talking about.
That's the recommendation I would like to bring to the select board, and they can do it differently if they want. But, you disagree with me, make a recommendation that just addresses these 2 classifications, let's just make a decision.
Or you could bring both of them to the select board and offer one, and then if it didn't look like 5C and a half, then 2015 or 2.
so the select board decide. Well,
They're going to decide anyways.
well, it's a town meeting. That's
Right.
gonna-
Right.
town.
Right.
See more people supporting veterans.
I agree with that.
Nobody's ever gonna support the other categories if we don't bring it up.
So can we combine the two, or agree with what you're proposing here, and also ask that they look at 59C categories?
But-
What I suggest is, you put, you've obviously got a split vote here in a minute. Five, say and a half, if you covers everybody, 22J covers it. If you wanna make those, put them forward, and let somebody else decide on them, you could just put them forward as that you would support either or.
And then let the select board decide if they want to pick it down.
Well, yeah, but that's what kind of what you're saying, 100% here is Ida. But 22, A through F, 22E.
But I don't like making that proposal without proposing any possibility of discounts to other categories of people. I mean, we could get a, 42.
Yeah.
Move to town.
And we had some before, 41Cs on it.
Okay.
We still have it.
Apparently not.
So if we agree with what you're thinking, Jenny, then we don't, what would be our recommendation? Okay, to not approve any change for the HERO Act, but to look at all categories of exemptions.
Instead of phrasing it that way, I would phrase it that, okay, I make a motion that rather than making a recommendation exclusively on the HERO Act, we instead recommend
Optional additional exemption, 59, 5, 7.5.
these, write this down.
Well, Stephen's got it, we've got it over here.
Okay,
It was all optional, but,
Okay.
which requires vote at a
Okay.
town meeting.
yearly,
I mean, I think it's important to explain why that we're not ignoring the question of the HERO Act.
Yeah.
We're suggesting the HERO Act be that the classifications covered in the HERO Act are covered if we take this other process.
Right.
That was right.
Okay, I'll support your recommendation.
Is that to me?
So, the vote, I guess, on recommendation. Let's see. Your proposal here, okay. Have the language for that. Well, we're voting on.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting your roll call vote, Jenny?
Aye.
Mike?
No.
Fred, yes? Okay. Now, are they looking for this at tonight's select board meeting?
You're talking about 26, so
I thought they were, based on the email I got from Peter.
she can't do it till the next fiscal year.
I'll have to look at my email. I'm sorry. Here. I thought Peter specifically asked this board to look at this for the next board meeting.
So
Okay.
we did. We're not rejecting the HERO Act.
See if I can find it real quick. Here it is. Yeah. Peter says, I'll wait to receive the board's recommendations after your meeting on the 4th. I've noted that the select board will be meeting on the 11th.
Which is next week.
Is it?
Okay,
And-
May the 4th?
Evidently, you guys didn't get this email. It says, the email went to Stephen and went to everyone else saying, I was curious if the Board of Assessors have ever reviewed the DSL bulletin from the summer attached regarding the HERO Act and the ability for towns, cities to choose and add 2 additional tax exemptions for veterans. These new exemptions are not automatic and require a town meeting vote to approve, but it would be good to hear from the board what the recommendations would be and what potential impact this may have. I'm going to have a select board meeting on January 14th, but BO at Board of Assessors could discuss and they could get back to me later in January. That would be helpful.
Okay, well, I would, if it's 2 new categories, not 22A through F, then I would just want to include 2 new categories.
Okay.
All of these existing ones on this sheet and whatever new ones are possible.
And I've already voiced my opinion, so I'm not going to go any further.
Okay, so, okay, moving on, I have to wait. Yeah, sure. We can sign these next week. I think we're meeting the 11th at 4 p.m. That's what we're here to. Anything else that really?
I'm sorry, 11, what time next week?
4 p.m.
Next week.
4 p.m. Thank you, I got it.
We'll have a meeting here and work on our comments here, RG, so.
And are these ready for signature? Do they have?
I don't know.
He's running late.
I understand that, but let's just clarify. Stephen, this pile of abatement requests, have you done research and done recommendations on them?
Yes, those all qualify for.
Make a motion to meeting adjourned.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
He's got to go.
I
I'm
know
sorry.
he's gotta go, but if you need to tell Stephen to do something,
Well,
that's what we just discussed.
I understand. The chair has spoken, I guess.
we can sign this stuff next week.
Have Stephen put some on your agenda for next week?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Right, because obviously I got a phone call to say there's prices here this morning.
Oh, you did?
And David, I thought you and I had sort of goes out, but.
Well, we didn't get answers to the first parts.
Okay, well, that's, what I was just suggesting is I would like that. I can't make the 11th.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I cannot make it on the 11th. But
Understood.
for your meeting after that, which I assume will be